Do you remember the first rehearsal or when you first saw your name on the board, or how were you called to start Tarantella?
Probably my name went on the board. It was a long time ago, and it was our last season at City Center.
Yes.
So it was made on a very small stage.
Yes.
And probably it might have been in the studios, in the ballet studios, or at the City Center rehearsals, and it probably was, you know, I think it was Jean-Pierre Marty who was the pianist. And he probably was sitting down playing for Mr. Balanchine, and Mr. B just got up and danced it for me. He took his, I believe he did a lot of it with me, you know, starting how we run in holding hands, and he said, run in this way and do this all. And Eddie and I had danced Symphony in C, third movement, before this. So that was a good way of working. I had a few dances with Eddie before Tarantella was made. So I was used to doing lots of ballets that require a lot of stamina. But Mr. B did it so quickly. We just followed him, and it was done.
How many rehearsals, like 2, 5?
It was probably done in a few rehearsals. Because I was always trying to keep up with him, because his thoughts were so far advanced. He just danced it like, if I was teaching it to somebody, it's probably the same time that Mr. B would have choreographed it for me. But he knew what a woman could do in point shoes, and he knew the style. And the music, because Hershey Kay and he had worked on Western Symphony before and Stars and Stripes.
And I think Hershey Kay orchestrated this
He did.
but much before you started the ballet.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I think Hershey Kay was a sort of specialist on Gottschalk. And sort of brought him back to the public attention.
He would come, and we met him. He would come, he was backstage a lot at Western Symphonies, all the ballets, he would come around. And the rhythm was so important. Like all of Balanchine's ballets, you have to be right ready. I used to call Tarantella the ballet of the ones, because you've got to be up and over and ready to go on the one. When you teach it, that's the first thing that's most important in my mind, to give the dancers the musicality of the way he showed it to me when we first danced it. And I feel like it's got to be on top of the music. Otherwise, it doesn't have the same
well, you worked
bite or the
so you worked on the bite today. Yeah. We saw them transformed when they got down into the beat.
Yes, because you know Emma had never. She just learned it for this, and it's very, you know, it takes time to get it in the body, but she did beautifully. She's such a talent.
She did. She really listened, and she like lowered herself towards the ground.
Yeah, but you have to really attack, because Mr. Balanchine was such. Everything he did, I tried to really grasp what he had, the musicality of it, and it makes such a difference. And when you do a role over and over again, too, you learn even more. The more you do it, the longer. I did it for many, many years with Eddie and other people.
Now, Patty, when you think about those rehearsals of putting it together like lightning, is there one image that springs to mind of Mr. B?
There were many little moments in Tarantella. I can see him vividly, like that solo, the second solo that she has, the turn in, turn out. That you do a jump and you land on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you turn your hip in, and then you turn, you know, your body has to be ready for that movement.
So he was doing you.
He did me.
Yeah.
Of course, he always did us.
Yeah.
I would usually stand behind and copy him and try to be him. And sometimes I wasn't as good as he was, because he looked so, it just was so natural. But in all Balanchine ballets, they're always natural. You know you can do it.
He did Eddie for you, because you just...
He did Eddie, and we went, and then Eddie.
Like coming in, he would wave and everything?
He said wave to the audience. Wave to the audience when you come in. And he had a really different, the accent was down when you start. it's not up, da-da, he meant it down, up, da-da, 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 you know, which is, you think it would be yup, da-da, da-da, but it was da-da-da-da.
I think it's part of the wit of the whole ballet, that there are ups when there should be downs and downs when there should be ups.
Yeah, well, it's just so musical, and he taught class that way, so I was used to his way because he would work in class that way. And pliés were very important for him, the use of the plie, and you have to attack the music and use the floor.
You could almost call this coaching session of Tarantella recovering the lost art of the plie.
Well, it's a lot of pliés because you have to be so quick. And she did it beautifully, and Roman also was wonderful.
And it gives us, the audience, when you do the pliés, it gives us so much breath.
Yeah. Well, there are all kinds of pliés in it, but it's very bouncy. A lot of it is bouncy. You can't do the control plie. It's all to push up.
Except for the plie joke.
Yeah, the échappé, that one has to be slow.
Yes, and it's so funny because, and this is also a study of fast and slow when you don't expect the slow and you don't expect it to be that fast.
No, and he just threw it out there so easily.
So
he said stay, and then quick, and stay, and then it was done.
So
before you knew it was done.
If he did Eddie for you, did he dance you for Eddie?
I don't think so, because he was partnering me.
Yeah.
And then he'd do my solo.
Yeah.
He'd dance my solo, and he would dance Eddie's solo.
Were you nervous at the beginning?
No, because I'm always a little nervous. Eddie was never nervous, and he just smiled at me, and we had a nice, it's fun because he wanted us to, you know, like when there's a competition at the end, and I was telling the dancers that he wanted you to finish strong on your music so you wouldn't go and do millions of pirouettes off the music and finish in your partner's music. You had to finish, and then he would go, and he wanted that really sharp.
Your clear time, his clear time.
All of that.
And it was a conversation.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun to do it.
So you quoted him a couple times in the coaching session. You said, easy arms, leg like crazy.
Mr. Balanchine always used, I remember a few ballets he said, the legs very sharp with energy, easy upper body, easy arms. Because you don't have to, use your arms strong like your legs. But musical, a placed arm. And you can throw the arms away sometimes. You can feel free in this ballet.
Yes, a couple of times you said in the coaching session, well, I made that step. So.
Oh, that step, right.
Yeah.
You said do a little this and.
Yeah, so when you do your arm, it's the first time you're strolling around together in a manège. Mm-hmm. You do your arm like this. You told her to do.
Yeah, in and out, like
Did
that.
Mr. B show that, or did you sort of add that?
I think he probably would have showed me that. Or maybe I just found it. But I think he probably asked me to do that. Mm-hmm. It seems like he would have, because I always tried in his classes to use the head, which is so beautiful. It's not just this way. It's, use the head. Yeah. He'd always come in class and kiss us, offer your cheek.
Yeah.
So all the croisé was always croisé with the head.
So the head was free.
Yeah, free.
And the head in Tarantella, you're free. It looks to us like you're free to look at your partner.
Yeah.
And which means you turn your head a lot.
Well, it's interesting. If you don't use the head, it's kind of boring. And he always wanted us to use épaulement as well. Écarté, the arm up.
Yeah.
He had us exaggerating. We do écarté, and he had us looking behind the arm, up. Really free.
Opening the body.
Yeah. And all the positions were important to him. Everyone thinks, Mr. Balanchine was just about the legs and feet, but he wanted the whole body to be free. He'd say, don't be zombies. I don't want you to dancing around. He'd make his face like that, like staring at yourself in the mirror. You always have to use your shoulders and back.
Well, in my opinion, that's one of the great reasons for this filming, that you are showing the écarté, the épaulement, along with the head, along with the pliés, along with the whole body working.
Yeah, I feel it's important to give what he gave me
I
and
think
pass
it's
it on.
an absolute importance.
Yeah.
So you were young. You were really young, and he calls you in and makes Tarantella on you and Eddie. What quality or what qualities do you think he saw in you that you knew were already there?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know. I guess he liked my spirit.
Did you know you could be witty before that?
I don't know. I didn't think about it, to tell you the truth. I just tried to be my best for Mr. Balanchine. I wanted to do right by him. I didn't want to fail.
Why?
And because I wanted him to be proud of me. I wanted, like, he was like a father figure for me. And as much as dancing for the audience, which I loved, it was dancing for him. And I felt confident because I had a wonderful Edward Villela, who was such an extraordinary dancer. And I think we fed off of each other because I had danced a few things with him before. And I would do some, guest appearances with him. And we had a lot of the repertoire that I did with him. And people saw us as a partnership. I always say that a gift of a ballet is better than diamonds because it's such a great gift to have something made on you. What an honor, what a privilege to be.
And to have a portrait, a sort of a portrait of you in time last in the repertory.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a very soubrette role,
Yeah.
So a lot of the ballets when I was very young were very fast-moving, fast-paced. Mm-hmm. But it was good for me because I could keep my technique by doing those ballets that had, stamina and technique. And I was always a foil for Eddie when we danced together.
And vice versa.
It was so wonderful. It was wonderful.
So what do you think Mr. B saw in the partnership?
I guess he liked us together because he made many ballets and he cast us together. Well, I was short too.
Well, that's
and
good.
our personalities worked well. I just loved Eddie, the sparkle, and he was just like the most exciting dancer at our times. He just was passionate outside. You saw his passion to dance, and he was 100% going, and it's just, we'd be in the wings, like pumped up to go and ready to go, and it was just fun.
Did you do anything special in the wings before you went on at the very
We'd always
beginning?
marry each other. Here we go, let's have fun. I could do anything, and I knew I could throw myself anywhere, and because he knew me so well, because we did so many different ballets together, that I was free. I could just run, and try pas. I just take off and run, and I knew he'd catch me. I didn't have to think about it. Oh, is he going to get me? I just had faith in all my partners, actually. I just had faith.
You said on entering, stretch your knees when they're prancing in.
I guess that's also Balanchine. Because when you run, you have to have your feet in front of you. So you don't want to go with the knees. You got to use your feet, stretching your knees before you step on it. Like when you walk, you have to really point your legs and be ready. Because there's a lot of running on and off too. And when we first did it on City Center, we didn't have to run so far. It was such a shock getting to the Lincoln Center. It was so much.
You had to cover like a football field.
Yeah. But
how did it change the ballet?
Well, the spirit is always there. You hear the music, and the music excites you. That's why you want to dance, is to also dance to great music. And the choreography just fits you like a glove. It was done on you, and you feel the freedom that you can go. You can do anything. And we did so many performances. I think we did it for years without just doing every performance. And then we do it on outside performances. We do Tchaikovsky Pas de Deux with Tarantella on the same program. He got all these guest performances.
Eddie.
And yes, with Eddie. And then I was lucky enough that he brought me all over America, and we danced Tarantella everywhere. So it was also good for me as a young person to feel confident to get enough performances. It would have been horrible if I'd only done one a year sporadically.
Yeah.
But I felt, on top of it because I had done it so much. I mean, I was nervous when I first did it. I didn't know how the audience would react, or I thought it was just something novelty, a little novelty thing that Mr. B whipped up, and they're still doing it today all around the world. It's amazing.
Was
all
there
these cities, it's going.
Can you remember that first performance? And can you remember feeling that the audience was really giving a lot back?
I think it was wonderful at the end to hear the applause. We were like gasping for breath at the end, oh, we have to go out and bow, But it gave you so much just to do it. It was wonderful.
So on the strolls after the first part, then it sort of quiets down and you go for a stroll on point with Eddie. And you
bouncy.
emphasized bounce.
Yeah, just so it's not stiff, that you stop. It's moving. It keeps moving. Mm-hmm. So it was.
Did Mr. B use the word bounce?
No, he
didn't use words. He just showed.
He showed, yeah. He showed it. And I felt it with the music.
Yeah.
And he trusted me and I trusted him, you see. He never had to say that much. Well, the first step was, that complicated, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The turn in, turn out was a little tricky. Mm-hmm. And he did it so easily, but he didn't have the point shoes on. So one day I found, it was, you just learn as you go along. But we also, he did not like to rehearse that much. So we probably just had a few weeks and we were out there. And he didn't like to over detailed. Wasn't like Jerry Robbins, who was very detailed orient. He let me be who I was. Mm-hmm. He didn't tell me you have to do this or you have to do that. He just let me be me. And he let Eddie do his shtick, his Italian, because Eddie was that Italian. He got that down so beautifully. I think the musicality is the most important thing.
Of
the musicality. That's what makes it so special.
And it's
Without
so
that, it can't be Balanchine if it's not on the music.
You say, on the PKs, you said do a sharp knee to Emma.
Oh, PK, yeah, to get the knee up. Mm-hmm. The PK turns, so you attack.
Yeah,
that.
But when you get the knee up, there's a lot of knees up in this ballet.
Energy up. The pas de chat is the same thing.
The knees.
Yeah, the knees. It's what Mr. B, the pas de chat, you have to use your knees. It's not just the feet working, it's the whole leg.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the knees quick enough up, you can't get the energy down. That one step, it's called the lesson, the pas de chat lesson. And there's a sous in between it. So you have to use your pas de chat, but the body has to bounce up and you have to breathe. And that's what's hard. I always did it because that's what he asked for. He showed it to me in the beginning. And that's what I try to impart that with Emma. I was trying to get her to feel the bounce down and push up. It takes time to get that in your body. To feel the energy down and down, up, one and down and up.
It seems like the only hope is that down.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to use your plie to push to get up.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah, but a real push, not a fake push.
Yeah, I'm not controlled. You don't want to be controlled in it like you have to do. In some ballets, you have to do the control.
Like what?
Well, the classical ballets more. You need that control with your plie. You have time to do all that.
Yeah.
But in this, it's like you got to be ready
all
from
the
moment go.
Yeah. So why is it the pas de chat lesson, that step?
He said because it's a variation of the pas de chat. It's different kinds of pas de chats. You do.
Just like what you just talked about.
Just a straight up, you do. That could be a pas de chat back. You point the foot front, and then you do the effacé one.
So it's a bunch of pas de chats, variations,
of them. And it fits the music so well.
It does.
But without the breath and the sous and the how you phrase that sous into the pas de chat is key.
you worked so hard to get those counts precise
Yes,
today. Why is it important to have the counts precise in
'Cause-
Tarantella?
because it looks better. It looks exciting with the counts, and it looks stilted. It doesn't look right to me without being on the one, over the ones.
Towards the end, when you're strolling in triplets and you're turning back and forth, he turns back and you turn back with him, and then he
the
turns front again.
Linking arms?
Yeah.
Right.
Was that all set, it was in Mr. B's mind
Oh, yeah.
already? Yeah. Nobody did anything in rehearsal that,
He just did it with me, and then Eddie did it with me after he did it. He said, well, you do 4, and then you change every 2. Every 2,
it's
or
so,
almost 2, on the 5, and then
yeah.
7 on that.
It's
It
so-
was, amazing. I'm always amazed. He always, even now, I look back at all the ballets he made, and it's astounding how he was so ahead of his time, and he gave all these great ballets. We'll be doing it
Forever.
another 100
Yeah.
years down the line. So that's why this filming, I think, is so important.
Is there anything about Tarantella that we haven't talked about that you want to tell this interview?
Well, I would tell them that just be themselves and have a blast. Have fun with each other, and use the energy. Don't give up. Just keep pushing till the very end.